Philip John Donahue, a broadcasting giant, a daytime talk show staple, a legend. He has passed away at the age of 88. How is he remembered and how should he be remembered? We'll touch on that and more. You're watching BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson of Roku TV via BS3, BS3TVLive.com, and the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. You are listening to it live on the Real Wise Radio Network, and it begins right about now. Well, welcome, Shifter. It is once again another edition of BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. Come on in, have a seat. I hope everything is good with you. I'm Cole Johnson. Welcome to BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. And for the next 60 minutes, sit back and relax as we get and keep you informed, engaged, enlightened, entertained, and spiritually fed. Now, along with giving our thoughts as to the greatness of one Phil Donahue, we will also touch on day one. No, not day one of Friends, but day one of the 2024 Democratic National Convention. Who spoke? What was the highlight of the night? And what seems to be the theme going forward? We'll also touch on Enlighten the Way legacy. Well, since that was a big thing with President Joe Biden last night, and remembering Phil Donahue, figured legacy would be a good one to touch on. How important is legacy, and how should it be revered, and how should it be regarded? That is Enlightening the Way, and all that will be for later. But for now, let us get you properly started up. And here's what's taking place in the world today. Heavy rainfall in the Northeast has caused extensive flooding since Sunday, leading to at least 2 deaths and many more evacuations. Flash flood warnings were declared in Fairfield, New Haven, Litchfield, and Hartford counties in Connecticut Sunday evening, according to the state's Emergency Management Service, while Suffolk County and Long Island in New York also saw warnings going into Monday morning. Of the 10 inches of rain pelted parts of Connecticut overnight, resulting in 100 evacuation at least, from what Governor Ned Lamont said, quote, unsafe conditions, close quote, in a statement released on Sunday. 2 women who were swept away by the floodwaters in the town of Oxford on Sunday were found dead, unfortunately. Commanding officer of the Connecticut State Police Department, Colonel Daniel Lonkman, said in a news conference yesterday afternoon. Performing a world tour doesn't take just guts. According to Olivia Rodrigo, it also takes sleeping like a vampire. Oh, you think I'm joking? This is what Olivia said herself. Quote, I sleep so much on tour. I sleep for 13 hours a day sometimes. I'm so exhausted. So that passes a lot of the time. Close quote. Now, she is currently on her Guts World Tour, and she said that in an interview with Complex. Now, Rodrigo is not the only celebrity who can sleep well over 12 hours. Dakota Johnson, back in December, told Wall Street Journal that she isn't functional unless she gets if she gets less than 10 hours of sleep, and quote, can easily go 14 hours, close quote, in one night. She went onward to say, quote, I don't have a regular time or wake up time. It depends on what's happening in my life. If I'm not working, if I have a day off or on a Monday, then I'll sleep as long as I can. Sleep is my number one priority in life, close quote. But is there such thing as too much sleep? Well, it all depends. Experts say the ideal amount of sleep varies among individuals, but pushing 13 to 14 hours on a regular basis is likely overdoing it. However, if someone is especially tired or sleep deprived, then that amount of sleep might be warranted every once in a while. Monday Night Raw on August 19th was the last time we will see Pat McAfee on a WWE show for quite some time. Sports media giant and WWE commentator said on his Instagram on Monday in their show in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, it will be, quote, the last Monday Night Raw Monday for a bit, close quote. He goes on to say, quote, I'm very bummed out tonight will be my last trip to that wonderful WWE family for a while, close quote. Now, McAfee didn't explain why Monday was his last show for an indefinite period of time, but it's safe to assume that it has probably a lot to do with his college and professional football season, which is, of course, set to begin later on this month. The former Indianapolis Colts punter is a host on ESPN's weekly College Game Day show, which that begins Saturday for Week 0 action between Florida State and Georgia Tech in Dublin. And in addition to that, the daily Pat McAfee show, which also airs on ESPN, it will also have NFL coverage all season long. Former Congressman George Santos of New York, who was expelled from the House of Representatives after being indicted on 23 federal counts, including fraud and misusing campaign funds, pled guilty Monday in a federal court to 2 of those 23 charges. The Long Island Republican faces a mandatory 2-year minimum sentence after pleading guilty to wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. But Judge Joanna Sabert estimated that the term could range from 6 to 8 years behind bars when he is sentenced February 2025. Santos also agreed to pay nearly $374,000 in restitution and to forfeit $205,000. A 19-year-old driver was arrested after 5 people, including 2 children, were killed in a car crash Monday in Fort Worth, according to multiple reports. The collision caused Interstate 35 West to shut down for several hours, and it was reported again and reopening again, 5:30 in the morning, local time, according to WFAA and the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. One other person was taken to the hospital in critical condition. 19-year-old man was charged with driving while intoxicated and 5 counts of intoxication manslaughter with the vehicle, according to multiple reports. The 19-year-old was injured in the crash, and he was treated at a local hospital. Police also arrived to the scene around midnight around that time and found that a Camaro rear-ended a sedan heading northbound on the highway, according to WFAA. The sedan had multiple people in the vehicle. Halle Berry is seeking and demanding full custody of her son with Oliver Martinez, according to reports, as the actress accused her ex-husband of not cooperating with their co-parenting relationship. Berry, who shares a 10-year-old son, Maceo, with the French actor, filed a request for sole custody legally in the Los Angeles County Superior Court on Friday, according to People Magazine and Fox News. If sole custody is not possible, the star is requesting, quote, tie-breaking authority to make all decisions, close quote, regarding Maceo's education, health, therapy needs as well. USA Today has reached out to representatives of both Berry and Martinez for comment. Both were tight-lipped and mum. Harvey Weinstein is set to remain behind bars in New York as his sex crimes retrial looms. Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz said on Monday that the disgraced movie mogul will stay in New York until his case in the state is adjudicated. Weinstein is waiting a retrial in New York after his rape conviction was overturned there earlier this year. The former film producer will return to California, where he was convicted of rape, after the completion of his New York case. Katz said, quote, he will serve the California sentence first, as it is now his primary sentence, close quote. Experiencing cold hands is usually not a cause for concern. However, if you notice that your hands are feeling cold all the time, cold hands may indicate the presence of an underlying medical condition. Now, when your hands are cold, the vessels that supply blood to your hands and fingers constrict. That said Dr. Ernestine Wright, an internal medical physician and primary care physician at Mercy Medical Center in Baltimore, quote, if you're in a cold, frigid temperatures area or place, one would expect that your hands will feel cold, close quote. And she also says if you also are holding cold items such as foods from a kitchen freezer, that also could do it. For most people, cold hands shouldn't set off alarm bells. Often there's just a temporary result of being in a cold space. However, there are a few signs that may indicate your cold hands are a result of a more serious health condition. If your cold hands are persisting despite being indoors and the rest of your body being warm, speak with a physician, says Dr. Wright. The following sports update is brought to you by the Playmakers Blog Network. To the NFL, and the University of Texas star and NFL QB, Colt McCoy, he calls it quits, and he now has an analyst job on TV. McCoy retired from the football field after 14 years in the NFL. He now will move into the broadcasting booth. He will serve as an analyst for NBC during Big Ten games, and he makes his debut September 7th for the Colorado-Nebraska game. Speaking of college gridiron, Oklahoma State coach Mike Gundy, he has drawn the line when it comes to the name, image, and likeness negotiations. Basically saying, quote, I told players there's no negotiation now. Portal's over, all negotiations history. Now we're playing, just coaching and playing football. Stop asking for money, close quote. Well, the old fogey, Coach Gundy, he leads his team at home against South Dakota State, August 31st. Now, from the college gridiron to the professional ones, Matt Judon, newly acquired Matt Judon, will be playing without a new contract for the Falcons. Tisk, tisk, tisk. And they said that, and the NFL also said that moving kickoff touchbacks to the 35 will not be likely this year. From the gridiron to the diamond, Houston Astros pitcher Justin Verlander, he is scheduled to come off the injury list against the Red Sox in the series meeting this season. Well, hopefully that happens and everything goes well, and that will be tomorrow. The Braves will unfortunately be missing third baseman Austin Riley. The injury-plagued the Braves, they take another hit, as he will likely miss the rest of the season with a broken right hand. He was struck in the right hand by a 97-mile-an-hour fastball Sunday against the Los Angeles Angels. Turning our attention to weather across the country, powered by the Weather Channel. In the Pacific Northwest, we are looking there we go. We're looking at partly cloudy skies at 78 degrees in Seattle. We are also looking at partly cloudy skies at 81 degrees in Indianapolis. Sunny skies at the DNC, or where the city where the DNC is being housed. In Chicago, high of 76 will be the total for the day. Partly cloudy with a high of 83 in St. Louis. Partly cloudy with a high of 72 in Detroit. Over on the East Coast, it will be mostly sunny with a little bit of thunderstorm action with a high of 75 in Boston. Rain in 83 in New York. Sun with a thunderstorm makes a high of 85 in Washington, D.C. Down south, there will be thunderstorms in 86 in Miami, partly cloudy in 86 in Atlanta, mostly sunny in 88 in Memphis, mostly sunny in 97 in New Orleans. Down in the southwest, it will be mostly sunny in 102 in San Antonio, mostly sunny in 105 in Dallas, partly cloudy in 101 in Houston. In the Rockies, it will be sun and thunderstorm mixed with a high of 88 in Denver. The high in the country will be in the desert once again. Sunny with a high of 110 in Phoenix. Sunny with a high of 108 in Las Vegas. And over on the West Coast, it will be sunny with a high of 89 degrees in Los Angeles. It will be partly cloudy skies with a high of 70 in the Bay Area. And that is your look on weather for today. And now you have been properly started up. Coming up later in our cover story, we will reflect on the life of Phil Donahue and those who were touched by him career wise and away from the camera. Also, enlighten the way, we'll touch on legacies since we are touching on one of the biggest legends in daytime talk show broadcasting. But coming up next, another person who you can focus on with legacy. Last night's Democratic National Convention got underway, and it literally was a Joe Biden appreciation night. We'll touch on all other things that happened there and what momentum could happen from what took place in Chicago. You're watching BS3 Presents the Morning Shift for Cole Johnson of Roku TV via BS3, BS3TVLive.com, and the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. You're listening to it live on the Real Wise Radio Network, and we will return right after this. The moderator.
As woman, you can't be too friendly because the minute you're friendly, then they think you're flirting.
The level head.
I think so that thing is over. So I'm not looking at men like that anymore.
The truth slayer.
Okay, what in the HPV yeast infection is going on over here?
The X Factor.
So I'd rather you tell me everything up front and let's start fresh.
The intersection of life and spirituality never sounded this good. BS3 Network proudly presents Life Happens live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Kentucky, home of great natural scenery and Churchill Downs. The Bluegrass State has offered 3 jewels. The University of Kentucky.
And the Kentucky coronation is complete.
Terry Brown.
Some people from Louisville, from Kentucky. I don't like the Derby. Okay, cool. Like, all right, I'm going to keep it moving.
And Vinny Hardy.
Us growing up on the border, we all went to school with Tennessee fans. We all had some teachers that was Tennessee fans.
BS3 Network proudly presents 2 men with Kentucky on their minds and all the sports matters at hand. Cats Talk Wednesday, live every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
So sit back, tune in, tell a friend. This Dope Cooking Show, we about to get started, and it's about to go down. Check me out.
Join your culinary master of ceremonies, Chef Jeff, as he introduces to you This Dope Cooking Show. Live every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central. Well, welcome back to BS3 Presents the Morning Shift for Cole Johnson. Glad that you're here, Shifter. This is the day the Lord has made. We should rejoice and be glad in it. I'm glad that you're here. I hope you're glad that I'm here. I hope you're glad that we're sharing this wonderful day together. And if you don't just want to watch, if you want to participate, all you got to do is head to the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. That's the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel, where BS3 presents the Morning Shift of Cole Johnson live, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central. And you can see your comment come up on the screen. And also, just trying a trial basis thing, we're also on Twitch, the Coleman Media Twitch channel. And reason why I'm saying that, one person who was come up on a new family member, Sean Crafter, he says, yo, what's up? How's your day been? Look, like I said, it's been blessed. I've been happy all morning long. And I hope that you've been happy this morning. I hope it gets even better from here. Wonderful shifter in Ryan McCarthy. Wonderful job last night, or I should say yesterday, as he was a guest on Total Football Talk with Drew Winham and myself, talking all things CFL. If you want to know anything about the CFL or anything arena football related, that's your guy. And then football is not his only area of expertise in sports. He says, "Good day, fellow shifters. Good day to you, sir." And I can't remember if oh yeah, yes, that's right. Your program will be airing tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, even tomorrow night on the No Creds REQ YouTube channel. And happy birthday to you, Mr. McCarthy. I hope everything is good with you, sir, and I hope your day is even richer today than all the other 364, or sorry, 365, since we are in a leap year. I hope things are really well with you, sir. Snowman, he says, "Good morning, Shed Nation." Snowman here, and we'll start our NFL division previews and also welcome our baseball guru, Pat Voss, and Alison Moran from Chicago live, beginning at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. That will be 8 a.m. if you're out on the West Coast. And that is also on the Snowman Multimedia YouTube channel. He also says Astros will go for 12 of 13 wins as they host the Red Sox 8 p.m. tonight. He says the Snowman will be on the call, and that 49ers show that also will be on today, 1 Eastern. And if you're out on the West Coast listening, 10 a.m. out in the Bay Area. And that will be also on Snowman Multimedia's YouTube channel. Stuck in My Mind podcast, aka the James Lipton of the crew, aka YZLFA. He says, "Good morning, shifters. Good morning to you, my main man, my mentality partner." And yes, you can watch the latest episode of Mentality right now on Couric Media's YouTube channel and the Real Wise TV YouTube channel. Wise was his normal self, and I'll give you this preview. He went in on Dave Portnoy and Jason Whitlock at the same time. Yeah, good times had by all. And of course, he is the CEO of Real Wise Radio, and we are right now live televising, thanks to my brother right there. And hard shift. Last night began the DNC, or Democratic National Convention. Chicago was all abuzz as the United Center, of course, that's where the Blackhawks and the Bulls play, was filled to the gills, literally, with a lot of delegates and onlookers. And there were many who spoke on that night. Let me see. You had Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Congresswoman from New York. You had Congresswoman from Texas, Jasmine Crockett. You had U.S. Senator from Georgia, Raphael Warnock. You had former First Lady and former Senator and former presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, who got probably the most rousing ovation outside of the keynote speaker of last night's festivities. You had the president's daughter Ashley speak for him. You had the president's wife, the First Lady Jill, speaking as well. You even had the Chicago mayor actually open up the festivities. You even had the vice president, who was the presumptive nominee, talk a few words to the crowd. But in today's program spotlight, we're going to focus on the man of, the man of day number one of that, which was President Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. And if you were to have looked at all of that, you would have thought that this was a Joe Biden appreciation night. I mean, it literally was that way. If I see one more "We Love Joe" sign, I would probably just shake my head in wonder. But congratulations to him. That's all I have to say about that. Congratulations to him. Now, Biden, who was the keynote speaker in night number one, he delivered a speech and an address that was about almost 1 hour long, and it reflected on his tenure in politics, which extends all the way back to January of 1973. And of course, he ran got elected before then, but he began in January of 1973 in Washington. And of course, he now is the president. He reflected on his tenure in politics, and he officially and publicly endorsed his vice president as the next leader of the Democratic Party. Biden said that the 2024 race for the White House offered Americans a chance to, quote, vote for freedom, close quote, and democracy before turning to some of his administration's accomplishments, ranging from student debt forgiveness to cutting some health care prices for seniors. Of course, the thank you, Joe chants broke out on the convention floor many times. Of course, that's how the speech began. But Biden, in one of those thank you, Joe chants, he said to his party members should say, quote, thank you, Kamala too, close quote. Now, tonight, some of the most prominent Democratic figures will lay out their pitch for the future of the party of the country. Due to speak would be former First Lady Michelle Obama. And she'll take the stage to back Kamala Harris and her running mate Tim Walz, her husband, talking about Michelle's husband, former President Barack Obama. He will headline the primetime speakers, which is understandable. Also, up to bat too as speaker will be the second gentleman. Yes, the husband of the vice president, Doug Emhoff, will offer some words about his wife ahead of her accepting the nomination for him being the first gentleman, possibly. Now, the cheers for Biden as he stepped on stage last night was so deafening that they rattled the rafters at the United Center, and they thanked him for 50 years of politics, over 50 actually. And of course, he gained a crucial victory in 2020, and he fought hard for the next 4 years in the White House after that. Obviously, due to a lot of derision and health issues. And now the crowd got a chance to thank him because he's now willing to step aside for someone else. Well, the final speech on the convention's first night capped probably the most astounding turnaround in an election that has had its fair share of upheavals, including on the other side having an assassination attempt last month. Now, of course, 1 month ago tomorrow will mark the 1 month anniversary of when Joe Biden decided to step aside and basically roll the red carpet for his vice president to take over, saying, quote, it has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president. And while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and my country for me to stand down and focus solely on my duties as president for the rest of my term, close quote. And that will be until January 20th, 2025. Now, it was actually wonderful to see a lot of things in terms of what was reflected. This has been probably I guess you could say a snapshot of seeing certain celebrities like Tony Goldwyn having music videos of being on the campaign trail and the background of music, Freedom by Beyonce, highlight, I think, a stark contrast of what we saw with the Republican National Convention last month and this one this month. Now, Congresswoman Crockett said that the Democrats are underdogs, but you would be hard-pressed to think so, considering you have a lot of Hollywood that is backing the Democratic Party. And they seem to like what Kamala Harris is offering. Not so much the other side, but you got to take it for what you see it. Underdogs would be something that you have to underrate, or something that you don't consider. Judging by what we saw in night number 1 in Chicago, I could think of many words that would describe the Democratic Party and Vice President Harris's opportunity and chances are of being president, underdog is not one of them. So although I love Congresswoman Crockett, I have to push back on that and disagree. When you have a lot of people who are backing you, you can't be an underdog. You're actually a favorite. But I understand why you say underdog. But congratulations, Mr. President. 50 years, salute to you. And that concludes today's program Spotlight. Now, this isn't politics, but a man who definitely knows his way around any type of five-star kitchen. Join my man, Chef Jeff, as he shows how you can prepare any type of dish, any type of way, the way you know how to prepare it. This dope cooking show, which it is a cooking show, I may add, that is dope. Check this thing out live later on today, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central to Roku TV via BS3, the BS3 Network YouTube channel, and This Dope Cooking Show YouTube channel. Again, that's my man, Chef Jeff, for This Dope Cooking Show. Catch him live later on today, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central on Roku TV. Just hit the BS3 logo on the Roku TV app, BS3TVLive.com, the BS3 Network YouTube channel, and the This Dope Cooking Show YouTube channel. Coming up next, from honoring a legacy of a president to honoring the legacy of a broadcasting titan, we will remember Phil Donahue. You're watching BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on Roku TV via BS3, BS3TVLive.com, and the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. You are listening to it live if you're not watching it on Real Wise Radio. We'll be back once again right after this. The moderator.
As woman, you can't be too friendly because the minute you're friendly, then they think you're flirting.
The level head.
So that thing is over. So I'm not looking at men like that anymore.
The truth slayer.
Okay, what in the HPV yeast infection is going on over here?
The X factor.
So I'd rather you tell me everything up front and let's start fresh.
The intersection of life and spirituality never sounded this good. BS3 Network proudly presents Life Happens live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Kentucky, home of great natural scenery and Churchill Downs. The Bluegrass State has offered 3 jewels. The University of Kentucky.
And the Kentucky coronation is complete.
Terry Brown.
Some people from Louisville, from Kentucky. I don't like the Derby. Okay, cool. Like, all right, I'm going to keep it moving.
And Vinny Hardy.
Us growing up on the border, we all went to school with Tennessee fans. We all had some teachers that was Tennessee fans.
BS3 Network proudly presents 2 men with Kentucky on their minds and all the sports matters at hand. Cats Talk Wednesday, live every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
So sit back, tune in, tell a friend. This Dope Cooking Show, we about to get started, and it's about to go down. Check me out.
Join your culinary master of ceremonies, Chef Jeff, as he introduces to you This Dope Cooking Show. Live every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central. If you're looking for riveting interviews, my man that I call the James Lipton of the crew is one that can actually provide that for you. Join my man Wise Alefe and an interviewee as he gets into the nuggets of what makes them tick, and you'll pull a nugget out or two or three or four. Join the two of them, whichever person he interviews, because you will get a conversation styled interview that is worth your while and time. Stuck in My Mind podcast that comes to you live every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and there'll be one that comes live today, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central on the Roku TV via BS3 and the Stuck in My Mind podcast YouTube channel. That is Stuck in My Mind podcast. That's right. In the Actor Studio version of, I guess you could say, a man on the street type of interview, live Monday, Tuesday, today included, and Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central on Roku TV. Just hit the BS3 logo on the Roku TV app, BS3TVLive.com, and the Stuck in My Mind podcast YouTube channel. Back at it once again. Cole Johnson here. BS3 presents The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson is the vehicle, and I'm so glad that you're here, Shifter. You are the prize. You are the reason why this show exists. Almost 4 months strong. And we keep getting better. And it's all because of you. Back to Shift Nation we go. And he said, Ryan McCarthy, he says, look, my summation of last night's opening of the Democratic National Convention. Brick Tamlin of Anchorman comes to mind, yelling, loud noises. Well, except Kathy Hochul. I mean, she was stiffer than the last cocktail I mixed. Oh, wow. You going ham, you going that hard over your governor? That is cold, man. That's cold. Wow. But I feel for the next governor that you have in New York, bro, if you're going to be that cold on her. Don't say she was death warmed over. That's just cold. Wise says, good morning, Snowman. And of course, Snowman says good morning to Wise as well. Oh, my. Well, it was good to have that laugh. Unfortunately, what I'm about to say is no laughing matter. But it is a time to celebrate all the same. We lost a giant. We lost a titan yesterday. We lost a broadcasting legend. For those who don't know Phil Donahue, he had a TV show called Donahue. It was a 1-hour daytime talk show where he basically was a man about town type of figure. And he would have either an interview or a panel, and he would have a studio audience. And I know some of you now know that familiar scene. You all think, well, when I think of that scenario, I think of Oprah Winfrey. Well, what do you think she got the motivation from? Mr. Donahue, and his style of broadcasting, it spawned other shows. Oprah's one, Sally Jesse Raphael's another, Montel Jones another, Ricky Lake is another. Heck, even to more recent times, Rachel Ray, and even other shows that actually are panel styled hosts like The View and The Talk. But what is the legacy of one Philip John Donahue? This is on today's cover story. That is what we're going to unearth as we touch on the life of the Cleveland-born, New York living, Chicago airing of the TV show of one Phil Donahue. Well, he was born to a middle-class family in Cleveland. In fact, he was named after his father. So we're talking about a junior. His father was a furniture sales clerk and mother was a department store shoe clerk. And he graduated from Our Lady of Angels Elementary School in 1949 in the West Park neighborhood of Cleveland. And he Graduated from a Catholic private high school in Lakewood. And he went on to actually go to Notre Dame, where he graduated from there with a Bachelor of Business Administration in 1957. And so his career began as a production assistant at KYW Radio, going back to his home in Cleveland. And then he got a chance to become an announcer one day when the regular announcer decided to not show. And after a brief stint as that and a bank check sorter in Albuquerque, he became the program director of WABJ in Adrian, Michigan. And this was soon after he graduated. Then he moved on to become a stringer for the CBS Evening News and later an anchor for the morning newscast WHIO in Dayton, where his interviews with Jimmy Hoffa and Billy Soul Estes, they were actually picked up. Now, while he was in Dayton, Donahue also hosted Conversation Piece. This was an afternoon phone-in talk show from 1963 to 1967. Larry King, hello. Yet another style who probably got inspired by Phil Donahue. And you can probably even say Morton Downey and the like of Jerry Springer and Maury Povich as well. Although I would wince hard at that. But his career didn't stop there. Now, he got a chance to interview John F. Kennedy, late night talk show host Johnny Carson, human rights activist Malcolm X, and Vietnam War opponents, including Jerry Rubin. In Chicago, New York, Donahue interviewed Elton John, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, and even Noam Chomsky. And then that fateful day, November 6th, 1967. That was a day where the Phil Donahue Show actually got its beginnings. The talk show giant, well, he got his humble beginnings and humble start on WHIO, and then he left, moving the Phil Donahue Show to WLWD in Dayton. Now, the program was shown on only to other stations owned by the Crossley Broadcasting Corporation, which they later became Avco. But in 1970, the Phil Donahue Show became a syndicated nationwide show. And it moved from Dayton to Chicago in 1974. And then in 1984, it moved to New York City, where the show was shot at 30 Rockefeller Plaza. Well, the show had a 29-year run, 26 of those 29 years in syndication, and he shot nearly 7,000 one-hour daily shows. The final original episode of Donahue aired on September 13th, 1996. Now, while hosting his own program, Donahue also appeared on the Today Show on NBC as a contributor from 1979 to 1988. Now, after he retired from Donahue, he took a 7-year sabbatical. In July of 2002, Donahue decided to return to television, and he hosted a show called Donahue on MSNBC. Unfortunately, it lasted only a few months because MSNBC canceled the show in February 2003. Now, after that cancellation, an internal MSNBC memo was leaked to the press, stating that Donahue should be fired because he opposed the imminent U.S. invasion of Iraq and that he would be, quote, a difficult public face for NBC in the time of war, close quote, and that his program could be, quote, a home for the liberal anti-war agenda, close quote. The classy Donahue, he commented in 2007 that the management of MSNBC, owned by GE, who owns NBC as well, who also was and probably is a major defense contractor. He said that they required that, quote, we have 2 conservative guests for every liberal. I was counted as 2 liberals, close quote. Well, those who were inspired by him, I mean, so many said, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have my show. Take, for instance, Oprah Winfrey. She has said, and she actually wrote this on Instagram, quote, there wouldn't have been an Oprah Winfrey show without Phil Donahue being the first to prove that daytime talk and women watching should be taken seriously. He was a pioneer. I'm glad I got to thank him for it. Rest in peace, Phil. Close quote. And he didn't just touch on just talk show hosts. Regular journalists even were inspired by him. Take Katie Couric. She wrote on Instagram that she was, quote, so sad, close quote, to hear the news of Donahue's passing. Longtime Fox News commentator Geraldo Rivera said on X that that the loss, quote, deeply saddens me, close quote. He went on to write also, quote, on X, quote, he was a hero, a talk show pioneer who inspired me to try my hand at the genre he invented. What a historic figure, close quote. He also said that he was the most important talk show host ever and recognized that the daytime TV audience was underserved. And Rivera said that Donahue remembered the homemakers and gave them an avenue the rest of the world didn't, and called him a giant upon his passing. TV host Ricky Lake said on Instagram that she was, quote, raising a glass in honor, close quote, of Donahue. Going on with to say, quote, Phil was an absolute legend and a pioneer in the talk show space. So honored to stand beside him at Oprah's show, celebrating talk show icons in 2010. Such a warm, super supportive, and brilliant man. Grateful for the path he paved and the legacy he left behind. May he rest in peace, close quote. Fellow talk show veteran Montel Williams, he said that Donahue was, quote, the godfather of the genre, and he broke barriers with audience participation on pressing issues, setting a standard that many of us strive to live up to, close quote. And then there's Live with Kelly and Mark, co-host Kelly Ripa. Now, she posted a photo of herself with her husband, Mark Consuelos, Donahue, and Donahue's wife, Marlo Thomas. And she wrote on Instagram, quote, good friends are hard to come by and even harder to lose. So life well lived. We love you, Marlo, and we miss Phil eternally, close quote. And then there is Sally's host, Sally Jesse Raphael. Now, she credited Donahue with laying the foundation for her 12-season talk show, saying, quote, he was one of the finest broadcasters in American television. His show changed the way we talked, what we talked about, and gave a voice to everyone. If there wasn't a Phil Donahue, there would have never been a Sally Jesse Raphael. Close quote. And I will wholeheartedly agree with you, Sally. I think there's many of us who actually have to say that if it wasn't for him, there wouldn't be a me. And I mean, heck, just with my own thoughts. I got a chance to watch him when I was young. My mother was a big, huge fan of his. And in watching how he conducted himself, I became a huge fan of his. And hopefully he can be remembered fondly and with his candor, his humor, his heart to want to be inquisitive, and his soul to want to unite everybody, no matter how divergent your viewpoints were. We need more of an inspiration and a sample of a Phil Donahue. Phil Donahue, broadcasting legend, daytime talk show host, pioneer, dead at the age of 88. Now, if you want that ear to the street understanding with a heart of Christianity to boot, I got 4 people for you. Join the seasoned Queen Nicole, the educator Queen Mika, the baby Queen Alicia, and King Doc himself, Ivan, as this pairing of siblings go at it and go hard for the community. Queen 3 King podcast, you can watch them live tonight and every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on Roku TV via BS3, the BS3 Network YouTube channel, BS3 Network Facebook page, and the Queen 3 King Podcast 59 YouTube channel. That is the Queen 3 and King podcast. Join Nicole, Mika, Alicia, and King Dog live tonight and every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on the Roku TV. Just hit the BS3 logo on the Roku TV app, the BS3 Network YouTube channel, the BS3 Network Facebook page, and the Queen 3 King 59 YouTube channel. Coming up, now we talked about Joe Biden and his legacy. We just got finished talking about Phil Donahue and his. What does the King of Kings have to say about legacy? That will be next. You're watching BS3 Presents the Morning Shift for Cole Johnson on Roku TV via BS3, BS3TVLive.com, and the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. You are listening to it live on Real Wise Radio. We'll be back right after this.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
This is a BS3 Network presentation.
I want to do a TED Talk, but I don't have anything to talk about yet. I'm getting there.
Life is for the living. We're not here that long.
You can learn anything you want to learn without any money spent.
What do I really enjoy? What do I really want out of life?
I am your host, WIZE.
Are you in a life holding pattern? Well, this is for you. Welcome to the Stuck in My Mind podcast. Live every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central. Alicia.
You can't hold somebody to that standard if you haven't voiced what you want and what you're needing from that.
Mika.
If you're not communicating expectations, you're waiting for your feelings to be hurt.
Nicole.
A lot of people don't want to take the time out to be alone and to get themselves together.
Ivan.
You got to be willing to work through stuff. And from the jump street, y'all done had problems. Maybe you don't need to be working through those.
BS3 Network proudly presents Queen 3 and King podcast. Live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central. Well, if you're looking for sports that is insightful, is invigorating, is actually entertaining as well, I got the show for you. Joe, my man AJ, as he, with interviews, with participation, and with expertise in the broadcasting industry, he shows you how it's done every single weekday. The Lunch Break, powered by JM&E, that comes to you live every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central on Roku TV via BS3 and the Jones Media and ENT YouTube channel. That is the Lunch Break, powered by JM&E, live weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central on Roku TV. Just hit the BS3 logo on the Roku TV app, BS3TVLive.com, and the Jones Media and ENT YouTube channel. Well, Shifter, it is wonderful that you're here. Man, this hour has flown by, and I'm glad that you're with me, and I'm glad in Shift Nation, my man Cool McCain, he's like, good morning to all the shifters. I'm glad you came, my brother. He says, at Wise, at McAfee, at Snowman, and to the head shifter in charge. Thank you, sir. And that right there is the hardest working content creator I know. I'm going to catch your episode of Monitor Wrestling that was aired last night. I think you know why I was not able to catch it, and I was going to pass the news on to somebody about that, but unfortunately, you know how people want to speak before they think and before they listen. That's what happened. But forget that. On to bigger and better things, literally. Legacy. Now, it's an easy concept to think about, but it's increasingly more difficult to define. Now, when you say legacy, you know, we think about it in sports terms, you know, of a guy that is in his 30s or her 30s, and now there's more behind him or her in their career than in front of. Or you think of a singer who in his or her prime in the 20s and 30s just simply lit it up, but you know, they may have had so much success that they could just simply sit back and kick back and not be seen for a few years, and then they come back in their 40s and 50s, and they show you that they still have the tools, but it's not quite like it was before, but it's still beautiful because you're seeing them. Or an actor or actress, when you see them young, you see the rawness and the passion, and then when you get older, you see the refinement slowly but surely get upon them. That's what you see legacy in front of you. But the legacy that I'm talking about is the one that you can't take with you. the entity that you can't take with you is the one that you leave on this earth. Now, what do Christians think about that? Well, that is why we are doing today's Lighting the Way. Father God, in the name of Jesus, thank you so much for this wonderful day. Thank you for being in the midst. Your word says when two or three are gathered together in your name, Lord, you said that you were in the midst. Jesus, I thank you for being in the midst. Holy Spirit, I thank you for being in the midst. I thank you for having your spirit dwell in this house, not just the physical house of which I am in, but in the houses of everybody, the house of this show, the house of everybody who are watching, the house of our bodies. I thank you. Your word says that now unto him or her who can exceedingly abundantly do more than we could ever ask or think, according to the power that dwells within us. Well, may that Holy Spirit dwell within each and every one of us so we can do exceedingly abundantly all that we all could ever ask or think, individually and collectively. And now, Father God, thank you for this message of legacy. When you put this on my heart, Lord, I had to ask, why did you want me to talk about legacy? And I understand why. So as of right now, let me divorce my ego, my thoughts, and my emotions from this message. And may none of me and all of you be represented in what comes out of me. May I be a lighthouse only and not an interpreter for you. And may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be always acceptable in your sight. Lord, you are my rock, my strength, and my redeemer. In Jesus' name, amen. You know, I had a conversation with my wife and a friend of ours, and we were talking about another friend of mine who, he was my age, but he passed away early. In fact, he was only 43 when he passed away, and didn't have any children. He wasn't married, but in the 8 years since he's passed, I've been thinking about what would be his legacy, and he left one. And that legacy was no matter who or what or how or even why, if he knew somebody was having something good happen to them, he would be the first to champion it. I remember one day when my wife and I was having a housewarming party. We just moved into a house, and we no longer live in that house now, but we just moved into that house, and we had our friends, and he was one of them. And he unfortunately had to work late, so he came late, which was fine. We understood. And then it was around the same time as my wife's birthday, so it was a joint celebration of a housewarming and my wife's birthday. So my wife and I gave him a tour of the house, and 4 different times during the tour, he just kept saying, you're blessed, right? Whoa, man, you are blessed. You know that, right? He was so genuinely happy. You would have thought that he was the one who was going to be the resident of this house and not me and not my wife. That legacy never dies. And I still think of him. Actually, I'll speak about him in the anniversary of his passing, which that would be actually 2 months from today. And I will touch on the life that he led and the life that he lived and the impact that he has, and will have. So in light of that, I was like, okay, legacy, Lord. Joe Biden is speaking to, this was, of course, this came to me on Sunday. I said, oh, well, Joe Biden's probably going to be speaking tomorrow night. All right, so that'll be interesting. And then yesterday morning happened, and I found out that Phil Donahue passed, and I was like, okay, so legacy. Okay, so what would you like for me to speak on, sir? And he said, Jesus said something about this, and I think this would be perfect for you. And he directed my eyes to the gospel according to Jesus Christ, the gospel of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ according to Matthew. And I said, okay. And so to the 6th verse it went, and the 20th to 21st verse was where he wanted me to go. And Jesus said, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. Where your treasure is, that your heart will also be. Once again, lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, your heart is also. For where your treasure is, so your heart will be as well. The beautiful thing about Jesus is that you can listen to things and you can read things that he said, and you can take so many different things from it. So why is it important for you or for me and for anybody to lay your treasures in heaven? We have to be remembered somehow. We have to make an impact on this earth. We're not born just to die. We're not born just to subsist. We're not born just to soak up the land and then we go onward to the next life, whether it's heaven or hell, and we just say, forget it. And people are like, well, yeah, Cole, he lived, he died. We're not meant to do that. We're meant that when we do pass, and I pray that all of you go to heaven, and I'm going to heaven myself because I'm the righteousness of God, and I believe you're the righteousness of God, but you have to believe that for yourself. I want people to say, man, Cole, man, the impact he left. Woo, that brother there. that giving heart and soul he had. That's what I want people to say when I'm gone. I want to leave that presence that my brother left when he passed away, you know, and now years after, where I can have a conversation with about him, and I can just say, just the power of his presence is there, and man, is it so much missing now. I can't tell you how many conversations I would love to have with him, whether it's sports or politics or spirituality. I could talk, or even music. I could talk to him about so many different things, and I would feel more alive after that conversation than before it. That's why it's important for all of us to lay our treasures in heaven, because it always will come back. And it will always be remembered. And the fragrance that you leave should be beautiful, not pungent. We shouldn't be nothing on this earth. We should be, wow. When he lived, or when she lived, he/she lived a very full life. And I got a chance to witness it. So why shouldn't you lay your treasures on earth? You ever heard the saying, you can't take your money with you? You know, if you die, and you can't bury your money. You know, you can have a crate full of money. And I think I've seen Floyd Money Mayweather, a boxer, have a lot of money on a crate. You know, when blood's pumping through and the heart's pumping, all that's great. But when dirt's thrown in your face and your physical body's gone, you can pass it on to your children, yes. But I know some would bury, and I have read accounts on some that would bury their money and their gold with them. Well, guess what happens to the money? And guess what happens to the gold? And guess what happens to the clothes? It all fades. It's like what Jesus said. You know, moth nor rust can destroy, or thieves can't break in and steal. I mean, you lay your treasure on earth, moths can eat it up. Rust can just simply destroy gold if it's not taken care of, or any type of trinket. And thieves definitely can break in and steal it, because what use would you have if you bury your treasure, basically? Because really that's what the illusion is, if you don't lay up yourselves treasures on earth. Because if you do that, that means, yeah, well, your treasure is going to be gone, one way or another. So how can your legacy be preserved once you're gone? Well, you just got to do good. You got to be good, and you got to have that goodness in you. And you got to understand this one quality: you're not good because you announce to the world you're good. You're good because Jesus says so. And he says so because he's good. You know, there's a song, and the title and the hook goes, "You're a good father. That's who you are. That's who you are. That's who you are. And I'm loved by you. That's who I am. That's who I am. That's who I am." So that's what Jesus means when he says you lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, because they will give you the riches when you get to heaven, because they know and they can trust. Yeah, you are a son/daughter of God. We know this. We see this. we are at one with this, and we are at one with you, and you are at one with us. Because on earth you drew nigh to us, and so now we're drawing even closer to you. And we did it on earth, we'll do it in heaven. And of course, Jesus also said, in my house there are many mansions. And if it wasn't true, I wouldn't say it. So, we probably have riches that are even greater than even Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos combined when we get to heaven. But thinking about Joe Biden with 50 years of political service, and Phil Donahue with 29 years of a TV show and many more years of broadcasting along with it. Those memories, those good memories, those memories where when you think of the name, you go back to a certain moment, you go back to a certain time, you go back to a certain phrase, and you say, wow, I'm so glad that I got a chance to witness this human being while he was alive. I got a chance to witness it, thankfully, while I was alive too. And what is the value of your heart and treasure? Because it says, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. The value is that whatever you value in your heart, that's what will be the richest thing to you. If you value God, that will be the richest thing to you. If you value women or men, that will be the most valuable thing to you. You value possessions, that will be the most valuable thing to you. You value work, that will be the most valuable thing to you. Whatever you, in your heart, want to embrace the most, whatever you value the most in your heart, that is what you will have the most of here. So we got to be careful. There are a lot of things that we love, but there are certain things that we love more than others. And you got to be aware of what you love, because what you love can be the gift and the curse of a lifetime. You just got to make sure that what you love the most is something that will be the gift which keeps on giving, instead of the curse that kills you and anything else around you. So legacy is important. The most important aspect about legacy is you got to make sure that you put forth something good on this earth so that your name will live on forever and ever and ever. That is what the price of legacy is. And if you have that legacy extend itself beyond its reach, the blessing of what you put forth on this earth will be felt for generations to come. And it doesn't even have to be your own children. Most certainly it can be. But you can bless people and have your legacy and your lineage go on with other individuals who are not familial. That's the beautiful part about this. So be aware and be wary of what you put on this earth. Because what you put on it, people will take out of it. People will take away from it. And it's up to you to make sure that what they take away is something that's good, not bad. Well, that is all the time I have. Thank you so much. I totally appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. For all of us here at BS3 Network, Comey Media Incorporated, and the Morning Shift for Cole Johnson. I am Cole Johnson. You're the same party, as I always do. If you lack commitment, you will never, ever start. If you lack consistency, you'll never finish. And my friend, my shifter, if you lack love, you most certainly will never conquer. Until we meet again in 23 hours, have a great rest of your day, shifter. Have a great rest of your morning. And again, until we meet again in 23 hours, go out into the world and preach the gospel to the ends of the earth. Because why? You are a blessing. And why do I say that? Because right now, you have already been a blessing to me. Hopefully, I've been a blessing to you. I love you. God bless you. So long.